couple things. Number one, I've read the press. First thing I learned, maybe the first thing, besides showing up on time, but maybe the second thing that I learned when I was a baby lawyer was don't talk about private conversations publicly. If you do that, you will lose your credibility. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about my private conversations that I had with anyone. When Nebraska speaks on this issue, we'll do it through a written response to the Omaha Tribe. But I think there's been some confusion about how these tax compacts work. So maybe I can just speak generally to that. So a tax compact is a arm's length transaction, a contract between two sides. No tribe has any right to a compact. None. Nebraska has no obligation to enter into a compact. No obligation. Nebraska has entered into a compact in the past, with, for instance, the Santee. The reason you would do that is because there's something that's good for both sides. Something good for the state, something good for the Omaha Tribe. Now, when we had a conversation, I'm not talking about my private conversation with the council for the tribe, but when we met with the tribal members, what they asked for was a 90% cut of state tax revenue, 90%, which is like $300,000 plus or minus. Now, if you ask them the question, well, what does the state get it for that? The answer is nothing, actually. The state gets no real material compliance benefit. The state really gets no benefit at all. But have I got a deal for this? What we heard was, state of Nebraska, you may not get anything on this, but have I got the deal for you? Because you get a proposed, unlawful, recreational, and a proposed medicinal marijuana scheme that's unlawful under Nebraska state law, in part because they're not a licensed dispensary or cultivator. And we're going to sell to non-citizens. And so we're going to violate your law. We're going to sell a poison contrary to your law to your citizens. You're going to have to deal with the fallout, state of Nebraska. You're going to have to deal with the cost of that. You're going to have to deal with your citizens having adverse effects, psychosis, or committing crimes from the marijuana. So you give us 90%, you give several $100,000, and in exchange you get nothing, but actually we're going to break your laws and sort of thumb your nose at Nebraska state statute. So that has been the ask. Those things are not, there's no retaliation. Nebraska is not forced to do anything. We'll respond in due course. But hopefully, as people understand what these tax compacts are, they hear words like retaliation. I think people think, well, you can't retaliate. You shouldn't be able to retaliate. And I think, generally speaking, that's not what people are about. But it's not. What they're trying to do is get Nebraska to enter into an arm's length deal it's got to be good for Nebraska. Now, ultimately, to be clear, which is what I told them, it's the governor's call, and we'll respond on his behalf in writing at the appropriate time, and you'll be able to see the letter, and you'll be able to see our response.
You said it was contrary to Nebraska law, but medical marijuana is legal in Nebraska.
Yeah, but I don't think, John, just to be super clear, correct me. Anyone in here, correct me. The Omaha Tribe doesn't have a dispensary license, do they? They don't have a cultivator license, do they? So the Omaha Tribe, you might have medical marijuana in the state of Nebraska, but that doesn't mean some dispensary and alliance can just like whip up a dispensary and start selling.
But alliance isn't a
but it doesn't mean that they can just sell to non-citizens without a dispensary license. It's one question about selling to tribal citizens, but it's a totally another question selling to non-citizens. They don't have a license to do that. So yeah, it is contrary to law. It's contrary to federal law, by the way. It's contrary to state law. Both no permissive use of recreational marijuana, and it is also contrary to the ballot petitions that were filed. Yes, these